Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex. Today we got some awesome stuff on the line. Of course, minicamp today started for the Giants, and they had all of their playmakers, aside from Saquon Barkley, available for practice, and I think that might be one of the best things I've heard in weeks. All of these guys, Kadarius Toney, Kenny Golladay, a majority of those big names, all available at practice. Of course, Saquon and Kyle Rudolph are both still ailing from injury and surgery. Of course, Saquon tore his ACL, MCL, partially tore meniscus. Kyle Rudolph had a Frank foot injury, which, will probably keep him out for the next couple of weeks. He should be ready for the start of the regular season, but man, I am so excited for football. I am so hyped that football is right around the corner. We're getting into the hotter months where these players are going to be out there, mostly in shorts, not much in terms of like hitting and shoulder pads, but just getting out there, getting the timing down with Daniel Jones and some of these new receivers and Toney and Kenny Golladay. Toney was out there fielding punts as well. Kid threw a freaking 50-yard rope afterward. He's a former quarterback. But I also want to say, rest in peace to Jim Fassel. Just an awful thing to hear, waking up this morning. A legendary coach for the Giants, had a few really big successful moments for them, and, he made an impact on this organization over the long term, and some of his quotes I was watching this morning are just simply amazing, and we will miss him. Rest in peace. I hope his family, are dealing with this okay. It's never something that you can deal with in an okay fashion, but I hope that they are using this time to remember all the good that he did in the world, and as Giants fans, all the good that he did for this team and what he brought and the smiles he put on our faces in a Super Bowl run and so many different things that he contributed. So rest in peace to Jim. Sending my condolences to his family and all the other Giants fans who are going to miss him. I think he was 71 years old, so an awful way to wake up. But again, Giants football starting today, which is a positive, and I'm excited to dive into some of these position battles, which is this today's segment. And some really awesome position battles at that. I think there's going to be some awesome competition. There's going to be competitiveness, aggressiveness, intensity, maybe a couple fights. I love me some preseason fights. And I'll tell you what, let's start out with one that I think is going to be really interesting, because there is a possibility that the rookie or the younger guy in this situation does not win out. And let's talk about the right tackle spot. Matt Peart and Nate Solder. Of course, Nate Solder, the older of the two, opted out of 2020 due to COVID-19. He really hasn't played in over a year. He's traditionally a left tackle. He played right tackle in his rookie season back in 2011. So he's, quite some time away from having played on the right side. And I think he's going to be utilized more of as a swing tackle, supplement any injuries, any deficiencies, helping in that category. But I wouldn't push it past him to give Peart a run for his money. He's a big guy too. Nate Solder has the experience. He's played on Super Bowl teams. He's won Super Bowls. He's played with Tom Brady. The guy knows how to get it done. But again, he's going to have to get back into football shape after missing an entire season. Matt Peart, on the other hand, looks like a freaking Goliath. The guy gained so much muscle mass. He is huge. He's like the Rock's little brother. And I'll tell you what, I think he's going to win out this job because he's already a sufficient run blocker. We saw it last year. He had a couple of great contests and great competitions, especially against Washington, where he graded out as one of the best run blockers on the team. Now, he did get COVID, which significantly hurt his stamina. He also was a third-round rookie out of UConn, so that adaptation to the NFL level was already something he was going to have to battle to begin with. But I'll tell you what, I think that Matt Peart is going to win this position battle, and as we watch him throughout preseason, I think that's going to be a big point for us to keep an eye on him. He wasn't that good in pass blocking last year. He did give up a couple sacks. But I think that he's going to take a step forward. That size he has, his reach and overall foundation and base, massive. The kid has so much freaking size. He's only 24 years old. He's not even 24 years old yet. He's 301 pounds. I think he added another 20 pounds of muscle. Go look at the pictures. I'll post a picture in the video. The kid is a freaking tank. He's 6'7". He's massive. He's huge. His wingspan is ridiculous, and he's super quick and athletic for a player of his stature. And last year he gave up 2 sacks. That one game against Baltimore really was pretty bad, and then Arizona as well. But he only had 11 snaps in total against Arizona and 17 against Baltimore. So how do you expect a player to really get the ball rolling when he's not getting that much of an opportunity to begin with? But mainly because of him contracting COVID, I think that played a significant part in his demise. And of course, we had Cam Fleming, who was an absolute turnstile. Guy was on roller skates out there, falling and just twisting and just absolute garbage. So the Giants obviously let him walk in, expectance that Nate Solder would make a full return. He is going to be making a full return. He took a massive salary cut to stay with the team because the Giants essentially were like, like, dude, we're going to have to cut you post June 1st, if not, if you don't take a big salary cut. And he took a big one. So he's going to stick on this team. They have a solid, veteran, experienced swing tackle to really supplement any deficiencies. And I'll tell you what, I think that Matt Peart is going to benefit from that. Competition makes everybody better. You know, Peart is a guy who I think is young. He has a lot of inexperience. He's a lot of room left to grow, and he's going to learn a lot from a guy like Solder in the building. Obviously, you have the new offensive line coach in Rob Sale coming out of Louisiana. He was their offensive coordinator and offensive line coach, and I'll tell you what, Rob Sale's a stud. Nick Gates was raving about him a couple days ago, saying that he was fantastic, and everything that he was saying, he's so excited to learn from him. And at Louisiana, Rob Sale set records with that offense. He's got experience, man. He's also a Joe Judge guy. It seems like everybody that Joe Judge handpicks as coaches ends up being pretty damn good. So I'm pretty confident that Rob Sale's going to be good for this team. I still am on the boat that Mark Colombo is a Jason Garrett guy, and you know what? We saw how that happened, how that kind of went down. Jason Garrett wanted to bring someone he was familiar with. Mark Colombo ended up getting his ass kicked off the team halfway through the year. They had to bring in a consultant, Dave Guglielmo, to help fix Andrew Thomas's issues because his technique was all messed up. I think Colombo tried to change his game a little bit, and it just did not work out. So that's the reality of the situation. I think Andrew Thomas is going to take a step forward. They want him to stick to his fundamentals that he learned at Georgia, that kind of mauling left tackle that's really good in the run game, but also a stout, good base, high floor pass blocker. And I think with that ankle injury kind of cleaned up a little bit, we're going to see a better version of Andrew Thomas. But that right tackle spot's interesting, one to keep an eye on. I think Matt Peart's going to win it. I really hope he does, because that size is something to be excited about. And I think that he really has the tangible traits, and he's a good guy. He looks like he's always smiling, always having a good time. And when you have a guy in his second year on a third-round pick as your starting right tackle and he's playing well, that does tremendous things for your offensive line in terms of monetary gains, because you don't have to spend 10, 15, 20 million dollars on a star right tackle. You have one on a rookie deal in their second year as a third-round pick. The guy's making absolutely nothing, and it allows you to spend more money in other places and re-sign some of your key players being Jabril Peppers. We need to re-sign him. I think that we can't let him go. Some people think we should let him go. I personally am not on that boat. But that's the right tackle position battle, one to keep an eye on as camp unravels in the coming weeks here. The next one is kind of a multiplayer position battle, and it's at outside linebacker. You got Lorenzo Carter, you got Oshane Ximines, you got Afadi Odenigbo, you got Azeez Ojulari, you got Ellerson Smith. Those two starting outside linebacker spots are completely up for grabs. Whoever earns them is going to get them. This is the most exciting portion of this defensive position battle at any of those positions, really on offense too. The pass rushers. Last year we had 40 sacks, ranked 12th in the NFL in that category, with Carter Coughlin, a 7th-round pick, and Jabal Shared, a literal practice squatter on this team. Now, we spoke to Oshane Ximines and Lorenzo Carter's new trainer, MMA specialist Bruce Lombard, and he said, he's working with their eye-hand coordination and really helping them devise a more appropriate hand-fighting plan when they're in the trenches, really defending themselves, batting away offensive tackle, guard, hands to further give them the leverage to bend around the edge or even beat them inside. The hand fighting is such a big portion, the timing of it, and the reactionary aspect, when it comes to hand fighting. So I think that they're working on that. That's going to be a tremendous thing. Aaron Donald's another player who, arguably one of the best players in the last couple generations. Or if not this past generation, Aaron Donald. He works with an MMA trainer too to improve his hand fighting, his grip, his strength. If you've ever wrestled, if you've ever done any boxing or anything, these guys have the strongest freaking hands ever. Like, they will grab you and they won't let you go. Like, they're just, when you have hands like that strong, it gives you insane leverage, insane power that you can transition to speed, because we know that Lorenzo Carter has good speed. So if he increases that strength with his hands, he can transition power to speed to power. And I think that's going to benefit his game tremendously, especially in the run game when you're grabbing guys as they run by you. That hand strength and that hand placement and fighting off and shedding blocks is essential. So in this position battle, who do I think is going to win? I think Lorenzo Carter is going to get one spot. I think that Azeez Ojulari is going to get another spot, but I think that it's going to be a pretty heavy rotation to start the year. I think Afadi is a player who should be very much in the picture. I think he'll be probably splitting reps to Lorenzo Carter. I think Oshane Ximines might get left behind a little bit. But I think everyone's going to get a shot to prove their worth come the regular season. I think they're all going to look solid. I think they're all going to make plays during this preseason process. But, it's fair to see what they can offer you in game. I think rotating, Patrick Graham loves to do that. He loves to get fresh faces out there. That's something that, you see a lot of other good defensive coaches do, like Robert Saleh for the Jets now, their head coach. When he was with San Francisco, he loved to rotate defensive ends in, keep them fresh, keep the motors running, and keep the offensive line tired. Tire the offensive tackles out, and then hit them with fresh legs. That way you can keep your main guys, Azeez Ojulari, Lorenzo Carter, Afadi, any of those guys fresh. And, right now it's all a big position battle. None of them are really established as those day one starters. So you can kind of do that. You can utilize them in tandem, tire out the offensive line, then attack them appropriately. They all have different skill sets too. Afadi can play interior as a 3 technique. He's really good at the 5 tech. He has experience at outside linebacker. Lorenzo Carter, traditionally an OLB. Azeez Ojulari, traditionally an OLB. And then, you have Ryan Anderson, another outside linebacker. Ellerson Smith, he's a skinnier outside linebacker. But Afadi has that kind of ability to be featured in sub packages, as an interior guy, maybe like a 4-eye type of stance, like a 2-point stance in the interior, even a 4-point stance he could pull off. But I like that more for maybe short yardage situations or really early downs with Afadi on the field, because when you have a guy that can stand in the 2-point or really or the 3-point or the 4-point, those interior spots, you need bigger bodies. Afadi's more of a power rusher, so I would like the Giants to get him more involved against the run specifically, but also in short yardage situations, maybe 3rd and longs too. When they're rushing 3 passers, because he might be a better pass rusher than Danny Shelton. So if you use Leonard Williams or Dexter Williams at the nose tackle, you used Leonard Williams at the 3 tech or 5 tech. If you had a 3 nose 3, you could use Leonard Williams at the 3. You could use Dexter Lawrence at the nose tackle spot, and then you could use Afadi at the other 3 spot, because the Giants love to use that bare front last year with a more interior pass rush, like a 3-man rush on those 3rd and longs, which sometimes bit them in the butt. But Patrick Graham likes to use those 3-man rushes on 3rd and long because he trusts his secondary so much. So I think that using Afadi in that scenario would be a benefit, because Danny Shelton, while he soaks up double teams, he's not much of a pass rusher. You need a guy who can really put pressure, collapse the pocket, and utilize that speed. So I could see where they would use them, Afadi in that kind of way. But a lot of diverse skill sets, a lot of different pass rush moves, a lot of different power to speed combinations. I'm really excited for this outside linebacker kind of position battle, because it is going to be really fun. It is going to be fun to watch, and none of these guys are penciled in as immediate starters, so I'm really hyped about that. But the last position battle, there's a whole bunch of them, but I want to talk about one more specifically, and that's that slot cornerback. Darnay Holmes and Aaron Robinson. Those 2 players, vastly different in their own respect, but also similar. Both are high quality players. Both are very aggressive, not afraid to move up and stop the run, not afraid to lower their shoulder and attack tight ends. But they do have a little bit different techniques. So Darnay Holmes, we've spoken to his trainer Brian Walker, and he says the guy is gritty. He's awesome. He has that grinder's work ethic, and he wants to be great. He has that great mentality. He wants to be at that level. And I'll tell you what, I think he can be. But he fits more of a zone coverage scheme. He's not as much of an aggressive man coverage corner. He's more of a zone coverage kind of guy, but he has room to grow in man. And I think that's what the Giants are looking to do with their defense this upcoming season. They want to play more cover 1 and really utilize those front pass rushers to, attack the quarterback, attack the pocket, and then expect their cornerbacks and defensive backs and safeties to hold it down in coverage. They want to play 1 deep safety, Xavier McKinney or Logan Ryan. They want to move guys up into the box. They want to stuff the line of scrimmage. They want to protect the box, and they want to allow their corners in James Bradbury and Adoree Jackson to man up in coverage. Now, I think Aaron Robinson fits that mold a little bit better, because he is more of an aggressive man-stopping cover corner. He can play press. He can play off-ball man, and that's what I like about him the most. His makeup speed is also tremendous. That's something that I noticed about him during the Senior Bowl. He got beat, I think, by Kadarius Toney actually on a just a straight-up seam route, and I think it was actually kind of across the field. It was kind of like a corner route or maybe a deep post. But basically, Kadarius Toney burned him initially. The throw, which was in the end zone, was a little bit underthrown, maybe a yard or two underthrown. And Kadarius Toney goes up to get it, and Aaron Robinson attacks him at the point of the point of attack. He really works through the body, very aggressive, good fundamentals. I like him as a player. I think he's going to be a tremendous athlete for this team. And I think, even if Darnay Holmes starts the season, having a backup in the slot is never a bad thing. I mean, consider what the Giants did last year when Darnay Holmes got injured. They utilized Xavier McKinney in the slot. They utilized maybe a little bit of Julian Love, and it just didn't work. They need another slot guy. They need somebody who can supplement injuries because Darnay Holmes, he does have an injury-riddled history, especially even at UCLA. So I think having someone who can come in and help supplement a loss like that is essential. It was very interesting to me how the Giants really looked at the defense this year in the draft and said, we need more pieces. They went out and got 2 pass rushers. They got 2 cornerbacks, and they got a running back and a wide receiver. So they really went heavy. 4 defenders compared to 2 offensive players. And I think that they saw this defense and saying, our offense might not be great, but we can attack that in free agency, which they did with John Ross, Kenny Golladay, Kyle Rudolph, Devontae Booker, Zach Fulton, Jonathan Harrison. They really went out and used free agency as a catalyst for the offense and used the draft for the defense, aside from Adoree Jackson and re-signing Logan Ryan, and like Danny Shelton and a couple other just low price guys like Afadio Denebo. But I'll tell you what. This defense has top 5 potential, in my opinion. They can be a fantastic group. I think that it would be ignorant to say that they aren't going to be a top 10 defense. They managed to do so with Isaac Yiadom as their CB2 last year and no pass rushers. So adding a couple of high-octane pass rushers or guys, at least guys with potential, and then Adoree Jackson and an experienced, returning group with, the safeties and the corners and the linebackers of Blake Martinez and Leonard Williams, who had his best season with 11.5 sacks and 62 total pressures. Dexter Lawrence, who took a step forward last year in most categories, guys that soak up double teams in the interior. I'm so hyped for this defense, guys. I think that Darnay Holmes, Aaron Robinson position battle is going to be a fun one to check out. I think it's going to be a fun one to watch this preseason, and I'm pretty excited to see how it goes. But you know what? It's interesting to see, all of these different position battles. Is going to be exciting. There's a lot to talk about as this season progresses. A couple guys that aren't even at, at the OTAs or minicamp today. I'm seeing that John Ross is not there. Obviously, Kyle Rudolph isn't there. And obviously, Saquon Barkley isn't there either. So that's kind of the big one here. There's a couple guys dealing with injuries. And, they're saying Aaron Robinson is a big slot corner. They have a couple guys here. Sam Beal is here. Sam Beal was at practice, for the first time in like 3 years. I can't believe it's taken him this long. Jabril Peppers out there making some catches. I'm watching right now. Just working on tracking that football and manning up. Oh, he's doing some really nice stuff there. So I'll try and post some of these videos. Kenny Golladay doing some pass catching drills, just some quick slants and comebacks to the football. And there's some Daniel Jones and Kenny Golladay passes, just stationary passes that they're working on. I'm excited, guys. This is going to be so much fun. To see some of these guys in full action, especially when they start running actual plays and getting downfield. That's where we're going to see some awesome stuff. I mean, I would love to see Kadarius Toney catching some punts and returning some punts during the regular season too, or even during preseason. It would be really exciting, my friends. So, as always, thank you so much for tuning into Fireside Giants. I hope you enjoyed this video talking about a couple of pass rush position battles, cornerback with Aaron Robinson and Darnay Holmes, and just a couple of other ones. There's so much action left to be had. I'm so excited to talk about this with you guys. We'll host a live stream soon. Anthony makes a return from his current illness, little throat issue going on there, so hopefully he's good to come back in a couple of days. But I hope you guys have a fantastic Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, rest of your week, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Make sure to subscribe below on YouTube. Turn on notifications for Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Make sure to join our membership section on YouTube. You'll get early access to videos. You can see all the things that we're offering there. We'd really appreciate the support. Very small fee per month, and it would mean a lot to us if you would help us out in that way. So thank you so much again. We'll catch you guys on the next one.